All right, it is called the meeting to order at 6:12 on December 1st. I'm Stephanie Schlish, to the audience out there. I am the chair of the planning board. I have Jimmy Tarr to my right, the alternate chair, and I have Bob Wagner to my left, fellow board member, and I have Gerard Bueno, our administrative assistant, just out of screen. Oh, thanks, John. And we have Paul Dostal here via phone tonight, another planning board member. First item on the agenda is public forum. If there's anyone here that would like to speak to public forum, now is the time to do so. It doesn't appear that there's anyone here besides board members present. So with that, I will make a motion to close public forum.
Second.
You can't make
I can't make the motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public forum.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public forum is now closed. Moving on to the informal discussion piece with Mark Hebert. He is not here right now. If so, we will skip this item on the agenda if he happens to show up while we're discussing the two other remaining items on the agenda. We will go back to that. All right, the next piece on the agenda is a budget discussion for the following year. I just wanted to let you all know that the round of submitting budget for the next fiscal year is due December 15th. And last year, I have a plan to submit the same budget request that I had for last year, which includes just some administrative covering for any sort of professional development, which was pretty much halted with COVID. So still have that, some supplies, costs for any sort of public hearing announcements that we would be paying the cost for. And then, we would also, what we've had the last 2 years was applied for funding for a part-time in-house staff person as a planner. And both of those last 2 years of funding has been rejected. So that was once under when I submitted the budget last year, and then 2 years ago, Bob, when he was chair, submitted for that as well. I feel inclined to submit for that again, especially as if we're looking at starting the master plan initiative. Any thoughts on anything else we should put in there?
I think another penny for another person to help with that part of it would be great. And we're not talking about thousands of dollars. We're talking about some consulting work by somebody that can really help us out.
Yeah, I think the request was like $12,000 or something like that total for the year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I agree. So we're probably under budget then. We'll probably have some surplus funds, I would think, in terms of what we spent this past year. Yeah, I think that I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just go with what we've asked for, and hopefully we don't get shut down this time.
Yeah, and
I think we have a better case this time with the master plan thing coming up.
And last year, I kind of said I'm just going to keep asking for it as long as I'm on the board and make the case for it every year. And I'll let you all know when that meeting is. It's with the finance committee and the select board, and maybe we can have a couple. Maybe
we should be there.
Extra power there to try and just push a little bit more for that.
So that won't be on the 15th.
Oh, you submit it on the 15th, and then it's not till next year when that meeting will happen, because the finance committee needs to review things, and they ask questions and clarifying questions on your application. And last year when we had the discussion, it was I brought that up and mentioned we would like to start the master plan thing, and now we're a step closer there. Right. So maybe I think there's a stronger case now for that part-time planner. I also am bringing information to that meeting. Might want to look around at other towns' budgets to see what kind of dedicated funds they have outside of Pioneer Valley Planning Commission or grant-funded work related to part-time planners, because I'd like someone who would be a little, not the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission is a great resource, but it would be great to have someone just thinking about Hatfield or that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, and so didn't you mention that Whately got some funding?
Yeah, when I had listened in on one of their planning board meetings, they were all excited because they were going to have part-time planning.
So
Support.
maybe it would be, since they're even smaller than us, perhaps reaching out to them and see if
Mhm.
maybe they could join us via Zoom. We'll have it working then, and and we could have them join us.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had us join. You've been in a couple meetings here recently, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
with public hearings that we're on the we were abutters technically
right on the line.
on the
Yeah.
line. Yep. So yeah, that's something I'm
Yeah.
interested in doing to kind of prep for that meeting.
Yeah,
with the
that'd be
planning
great.
board, or select board and finance committee.
Do we have any idea when that meeting is?
Yeah, there's a calendar for it, but I only remember
Okay, okay.
only a date that sticks is the December 15th for the budget. So
Okay. Yeah,
any
sounds
other
good.
comment on that?
No.
All right, moving on to, there's one other piece of informal discussion here, kind of, is the public hearing draft notice that Gerard has put together with Marlene, related to launching a master plan committee. And Gerard, I believe you were asking kind of like for feedback, and was there anything else that you were looking for from input from the board?
Yeah, so I guess speak with Marlene. She had reached out to a PVPC representative, I think Patty Brandy, and she spoke with her. They had just completed the master plan for Blandford recently, so she was trying to get some information, some details, how they work their master plan committee. She suggested that we have a committee, the town form a committee between 9 to 12 members, including at-large public members and of course representatives from various boards and committees. Once an appointment of this committee gets formed, the thought process would break off into other sub-focus groups based on what the feel for the master plan wants to, the feel for how the master plan will come to fruition. So right now, I guess we're just getting input from how you guys feel about the language on the public notice, and maybe some feedback on, I know you've talked about those types of boards and committees you want to be involved, but maybe narrowing it down even more. So if you're looking at a 9 to 12 person committee, how many of that do you want that to be boards committee representatives opposed to at-large public residents, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Paul, were you able to catch most of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I would add, I know this is going to go to the Board of Selectmen for them to review, but I think when they send out the letter, I think they should put a time frame on it to say, okay, respond. Let's just say it goes out January 1st. They need to have people respond, I would say fairly quickly, so we can get a committee formed and not leave it open-ended. I would put a drop dead date on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
That's good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking too, and I did read this before the meeting, and Gerard, maybe I can play around. I'm happy to volunteer to provide a couple sentences or two,
Sure.
is to put the master plan in context, because, as someone who's not as familiar with these issues as we are may read this and go, oh, is this a master plan on, how we're going to run our schools, or how we're going to, run our operations? Master plan can mean a lot of different things, and actually put it in the land use
Mm-hmm.
zoning context so that it's clear to people what this is all about.
More description.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because presumably we're going to want younger people and younger residents on the committee who were not here 20 years ago, or if they were here 20 years ago, they were 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
So anyway, I think I'm happy to maybe give you a couple sentences just to provide a little more description as to what
Yeah.
the master plan entails.
And I guess it would be helpful too to know, like, maybe this kind of gets to your question as like the membership of the committee. It would be helpful for someone to know, like, that we're looking for 3 town member, or like, are these people
Yeah.
that are outside of committees? Is it, let's say someone on a town or committee on town, does that mean that they reach out to Marlene too and ask to be interested, or is it just people who are not part of, like, what are the different avenues that people can serve on the committee? I think.
I think a lot of that the select board will be discussing too,
Right.
going forward.
Yeah, like who selects those? I mean, it looks like
Right.
the select board is
Yeah,
selecting them, but like, is it
departments,
the other people that are other committee members help selecting these at large or resident? I guess I would be interested in having the process be
Yeah.
a little transparent
I
on
think
this
so.
as
I
well.
think so too, because it seems to me that there may be the opportunity for it to get orchestrated.
Yeah.
And we don't want it orchestrated.
Yeah.
We would like it to be open,
Transparent.
transparent, and all comers.
Yeah, I think a little, like a couple sentences on how the process of how people will be chosen, I think would be.
And
At least,
if we
yeah.
could also maybe find a way to indicate what boards or groups in town would be placing a person on that committee.
Well, I think that's part of the discussion between your board and the select board.
Okay.
That's an open discussion, I think,
Right.
at this point.
Yeah, I guess I think that's a good question, is in like, how much of this is the select board's
Right,
thing?
right,
How much of it is our input welcome or not? You know, like that
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I would think we would want to have, for example, or if they weren't already thinking about this, obviously a representative from the planning board.
Yeah.
The finance committee, because all of this is about money when it all comes down to it.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly from the last master plan committee, we did not have much, if any, involvement of the Department of Public Works. And they are an absolutely critical part of this because infrastructure is what can either drive growth in the wrong direction or can actually accommodate growth where you want it to be and actually maximize the benefit of that infrastructure. So if we don't have the DPW on there, we don't have a committee. There's no committee associated with DPW. Is
I don't think so.
Citizens committee.
I
So
don't even know if there's oversight other than the
Yeah.
select board with them.
so it'd have to be staff, I think. But anyway,
So, and then you want somebody there's going to obviously be somebody from the select board.
yeah.
Conservation.
Or are we bringing the ideas to the select board that then they
Yeah.
approve or not? Or is there someone from the select board on the committee? I don't know
Yeah,
how that
I don't
works.
remember there being a select board member, but Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like open space,
Open space.
recreation. I would say, you said that the last master plan, a step from that was to create an ag committee.
Right.
And so I would argue that we should have someone from the ag committee on there too.
This is a farming town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a free to farm town.
So just with that list, you've got
9.
You're pretty close to 9 right there. So
That's
it
8.
could be more. Yeah. So
It's 8.
Yeah. So you could end up maybe with more than 12.
Right.
Wanted to get
Or-
too unruly, but
Yeah, I think when I was looking at other towns' ones too, Gerard, it was like 3 at-large members of people who weren't part of committees, or like something like that. 2 or 3 or 4, like around that, of like citizens that weren't involved in a board.
That makes sense. 9,
Yeah.
3, 12.
You still there?
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
When would this? You're going to have this conversation with the select board in the next week or so, right?
Marlene's going to be having this conversation with them at the meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
So this is just really to officially get the ball rolling
Mhm.
to this initiative. So again, very rough.
Mhm. And yeah, I think in one of the other draft ones that I looked at that I kind of liked, but I don't want it to make people think that they're not qualified for something like this. But there was a list of like, we are interested in people who have experience in or are interested in land use, and then it listed like 5 or 6 different types, not necessarily qualifications, but just like types of
Areas of interest.
areas of interest that we were interested in. But I don't, that's, if you want to get something more robust or keep it simpler, I don't know.
Oh, so these are the ones that you share with Gerard. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that, yeah, maybe you can crib from those.
Yeah, and I think once you get like a little bit more of the process ironed out with the select board, putting, a sentence or two on that. And I'd be curious, just reporting back to us too about the
Of course,
process.
the time frame will be ironed out as well.
Right, and like whether the rest of the committee will be in formation before these citizen pieces would be like, and then would those people have any input in those citizens or not, or was
Yeah,
it just a
my
select board
question
thing?
was,
Yeah.
I mean, when Marlene was explaining the sub focus groups,
Mhm.
I think maybe for me, I see that as establishing, the town's board, representatives, and then maybe, I mean, not to sound that it's orchestrated, but maybe recruit
Mhm.
at-large people based on the
Other subcommittee members or something?
Yeah, based on those focus groups.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it, I'm sure. So, yeah.
okay.
Sounds good.
Good feedback.
Anything else on this draft hearing notice?
One more thing, I agree with Paul that we should present this from us as, let's not procrastinate this. Let's get this moving. We have the ball starting to roll now. Let's get this going so it doesn't just linger and linger and all of a sudden we're at the town meeting and we haven't even gotten a board yet. Haven't even gotten a master plan committee yet. So
Yeah.
I think, Paul, what were you thinking of time frame?
It's quick, maybe by the end of January, or is that being too early? Or, I mean, I don't know, because if we're going to have, with the status of this funding, if we're going to try to get somebody from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission to help us, I don't know where we are on that in terms of we're going to get it or not get it.
Yeah, and that grant cycle starts in the beginning of January. So I think a lot of it, unfortunately, also weighs on the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission's timeline as well. So, I mean, we can put the committee together, but then we might not have, the funding available till elect date or something like that.
Well, why don't we say a month from when the notice goes out?
I think that's the right number.
It could be the end of January, but it might be that, yeah.
15th of February,
Yeah, right.
we're flexible on the date, but not the time frame.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And then it also says a letter of interest. Like, is that like my resume, or is that like a one sentence thing saying, Marlene, I'm interested?
Yeah,
A letter of interest seems.
that's what she.
It could
what was
be.
recommended.
We just had I have a condo association, and there were people that were running for the board, and we had a range of, we had 5 members that were running for the board, and some people, one guy gave a really detailed, he had 40 years of experience, and another guy said, I'm interested in the board. So I guess, and he says, so you don't know what qualifications they had, but I would think it would maybe expand a little bit on why they want to be on this committee. And obviously they're either a farmer or a business owner, or, they want sometimes people have hidden agendas and they said, well, I'm going to get on that committee and I'm going to push this agenda. But I think a little bit of a brief statement about why they would want to be on here. So I don't know if she wants to expand on that, or I guess once whoever's the final decision maker to look at, if I send an application in and it just says I want to be on the committee, but I don't say that I have any qualifications or interest, or I would think of at least a paragraph about why you want to be on it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know, maybe she can expand on that. A letter of interest. I would think people, and when I look at that, I think in my terms, but some people just say, yeah, I'm interested in this, I want to be on it. But maybe I don't want to say they're not qualified. I think everybody's qualified if they're a homeowner or a landowner in Hatfield, and they all pay taxes, they have a vested interest, whether they think they have qualifications or they don't have qualifications. I guess we can't say, you're not qualified, because you didn't expand on your letter of interest. But that be made that as it is, I guess.
I think another point that might need to be made, and it's touched on in here, is this is not going to be a month-long thing. This is going to be
Right.
several years, and that you're making a commitment for a couple years. And we're not looking for people that want to get on and get off. We're looking for people that want to get on and pursue it to the end.
Up to monthly
it's
meetings.
Going to be it's just not a, like you say, Jim, it's not like a 1 month or a 6 month process. It's
Right.
It's going to take a while.
Like our 350th committee that we
Yeah.
thought that ended up being 2 years
Yeah.
longer than we thought it would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
All right. I think we gave you enough ideas there, Gerard. Anything else? Otherwise, we can move on to approval of the minutes or any other informal discussion.
I had the letter from our town attorney regarding the, I don't know if we were going to talk about that regarding, I'm trying to find it. On the North Hatfield Road property. I read it and I read it again and I read it again. And I'm thinking he's saying that we can't have another, waive the 2-year requirement, even though they changed the zoning. What was everybody? I'm trying to get a feel for what.
Yeah, when I talked to him on the phone, he was basically saying that it's too similar of a proposal, even though it's that it would not be exempt. It would not be exempt from the 2-year.
Look, a 2-year delay.
2 year, yeah. So they are going to have to wait if they wanted to rezone any piece of that parcel.
So I think in light of the previous meeting and the discussion that we had, and it's reflected in the minutes, which we're about to get to, that we were going to go to the town attorney. I think we need to have that as an agenda. item. So we should hold off on this
Mm-hmm.
because there may be some folks who want to attend this meeting. Like I actually purchased some product at the farm on North Hatfield Road, and the farmer said, yeah, we've been following this issue pretty closely, and we're probably going to come to the December meeting if it's on the agenda again.
Okay.
So if they saw this agenda, they probably chose not to come to the meeting because it's not on here. So I think we should just hold on that and bring it up, and then just, if it requires us to take a vote or something, we just do that. But and you have documentation from the attorney, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you could
Yeah,
read that into the record.
There's a lengthy email here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you could read that into the record then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's put that on the agenda for next month, Gerard. If that's the other update that I have, which is not an update, is the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission's open space development bylaw grant that we were supposed to start working on in June. Reached out again with Ken Camilla, who's running that part of the grant. And November 11th, he responded saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I will send out a agenda link or a meeting link soon, and to have a meeting post Thanksgiving." And I haven't heard anything. And I was like, "Great, thanks." And I haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, they're really dropping the ball on that.
Which again has me a little nervous,
Yeah.
like utilizing, not that,
Yeah.
that just has me nervous in general. Utilizing
I think
that.
they're going over some turnover.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's what I've been told.
Everyone is apparently. So there's no update there, which is a sad update.
Yeah.
At that point, we'll just roll it all into the master plan. Or to whatever zoning updates we do. All right, any other updates? Otherwise, we can move to minutes approval.
Yeah, so I read, the only thing I noticed was just a type, an editing item on the ANR, Gerard. The very first ANR, the 9997 prospect. George Bakula has the Mylar that has the recommendation of that, or that reflects the recommendation of town council, because that was the new one that he had brought in. So that's the only thing I noticed.
I noticed 2 other grammatical things like that too on the second page. Right in the middle of the paragraph, it says, Tom Reedy asks if section 8.10 is even triggered in this case. Proposed zone changes only for 3/4 of the parcel North Hatfield Road. He wonders if this would be a completely different amendment, not difference amendment. And then under board discussion, it just says at the last sentence, or second to last sentence, chair/states, or states, should be states. That's all.
Oh, yeah, states.
Yep.
There was one other one that I saw and I can't find it. I think it was just a misplaced word or whatever, but maybe that was it. Okay.
Anyone like to make a motion with those,
Motion, we accept the minutes of the November 3rd meeting
with the amendments there?
with the corrections made.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, minutes from November 3rd meeting approved. Our next scheduled meeting is January 5th. Is everyone able to make that?
I can.
Yep.
Yep.
And we will, at least we know one agenda item, it'll be the discussion of what Attorney Mullen said about 137 North Hatfield Road.
I suspect there'll also be more discussion of the master planning.
Yep,
That's right,
hopefully.
because the select board will likely have met by then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll have an update on
Yeah.
that. And then we should probably keep the budget discussion piece on there too, because I think that's somewhere in
Yeah.
end of January or something, or beginning of February where we have that conversation.
Mhm.
Gerard, I'll get you those sentences, if not tomorrow, on Friday.
Anything else? Otherwise?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Deputy, I
Second.
got one question.
Oh, yeah, Paul.
Did you have any discussions with Omasta? Have they asked about anything I'm wondering if they contacted you and say, hey, you called the lawyer and what did he say?
No, I had Gerard send the correspondence over to their attorney.
And nothing back from them. I was just curious if they had.
Nope,
saying, hey,
Gerard
what's
said
going on?
nothing back from them.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Pat, second.
Second.
All right, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the meeting, December 1st is adjourned at 6:40.